Hi, my name is Georgie Cox and I'm the founder of Beluga Pods. We're tackling loneliness and breaking the stigma with our app. But the idea is to get off our phones with this app and to help us reconnect in society, to ourselves, to others, and find what kind of really matters again, like purpose, people, and presence. Mental health is very complex, I think, and I don't think it can be put down into one sentence because everyone is different. But I think it's just how we are as people and how we feel kind of in our mind, but also it's more holistic than that. It all affects like our health as well. So I think the mental health would be described as something we all kind of feel, and I think sometimes we don't really hold ourselves accountable or don't really build that awareness around mental health, and so we kind of sometimes get ourselves in a worse situation. So I think it's this kind of, you know, how we feel in our minds and how we kind of I don't know how we I'm trying to think about, it's a hard one actually, it's hard. I think mental health is just how we feel in our minds, and I think it's just and I think if we kind of ignore that in our minds, I think, which is kind of a lot of the issues still in society, we kind of ignore it and just think, oh, you know, I'll just carry on, I'll ignore this feeling. We kind of then, you know, get into a bad situation. And now it's obviously more talked about, which is great. However, sometimes we just don't deal with it. And sometimes we're like, it doesn't affect me, but it all does. Like, we all have mental health. Like, it's all part of who we are as people. We have mental health, we have physical health as part of like the umbrella of our being. So I think it's always a journey, I think. And I think in the last kind of 5 years, like since I started Beluga, like I've really become more aware about it. I think I was one of those people that, you know, society, you know, it doesn't really affect me, you know, I don't really need to kind of deal with it, see a therapist or anything, I'm fine dealing with it on my own. But actually it's quite detrimental. And I've always suffered with anxiety and I never really kind of dealt with it. And then when I did finally see a therapist, you know, it's really valuable because you can get CBT, you can work out tools and tips to kind of deal with situations which make you anxious, so you can kind of pre-prepare. So I think things like that is really valuable, but I think it's always a learning curve. You're never going to have an amazing mental health. If you do, you just got to make sure you're not going to get into a negative space. It's something you have to continually work on. It's like anything in life. You can't just like leave it, like, oh, I'm happy now, I'm leaving it, ignore everything. You have to like continually work on it, otherwise then it could get back to a thing. And I think the other thing as well, like I think with mental health, like it's that awareness factor, like, okay, not every day is going to be amazing, not going to be like really happy and an amazing day, because life isn't like that, unfortunately. Everyone's going to have bad days, every single person, but it's just how can we deal with that practically, and that awareness factor, like today, how am I feeling? Oh, I'm feeling a bit burnt out. Why is that? Oh, I don't know, maybe I'm stressed about this and this isn't working, all these things out of my control, but how can I control it? And I think that awareness is really powerful. So that's what I've kind of taken on. And also, if I do see something negative, I don't then try and spiral and go down that kind of rabbit hole. And I try to like deal with it practically now and think, right, how can I prevent this getting worse? Because it's one of those situations, if you kind of feed off these toxic or negative situations, you can then, it feeds into it and it becomes worse and you almost can't get out of it. So it's good to just deal with it practically and then just try and like move forward in the best way. So I've learned a lot in the last few years and with our research with Beluga. So so it's just, and I think loneliness as well, like, is another thing that's a major issue in society for our health and mental health, but it's often kind of overlooked and not talked about. And I think it's one of those things that no one really understands. And we kind of, you can look retrospectively and think, oh, maybe I was lonely then, but I don't think people would think that, because it's still ingrained that, you know, you need to be on your own in a room, and that's not the case, because you can be alone and not be lonely, but you can be with people and be lonely. So it's just that kind of feeling of being connected to yourself and to really help you thrive, but the awareness factor is kind of imperative in all of that. So a lot of kind of tips that I use myself, and I've actually used my experience and added them to the app to just hopefully help others. And I think sometimes I get overwhelmed with thoughts and anxieties and things going wrong and all of this. And I think the best piece of advice that I was given is to kind of just imagine them just leaving your mind and just going into the abyss. And I think it sounds super simple, but I think we overcomplicate things sometimes, and the simple things work, and that always helps me. So I'm like really stressed, what's going on? write it down and kind of like metaphorically chuck it away. And it's just declutters my mind and I feel amazing. And it sounds super simple, but simple works. And I think that's what we forget sometimes. Like, we're all humans, we just want basic things, which is just that connection. And yeah. So yeah, so it's been a painful journey, not gonna lie, it's been painful, but I just am so passionate about it, I just can't stop. People are like, why are you sort of like, you know, why is it taking so long? And it's like, well, things take a long time, and also it is really challenging. And so basically, I used to work in London, I had I was working in a corporate job, and then all of a sudden kind of my life turned upside down when I suddenly fell unwell, and this was just before COVID. And I was fortunate enough to have friends, family, even work support me during this time. So I went on long-term sickness, which is not something you talk about or hear about. But obviously during COVID, I couldn't see a doctor. So I was quite isolated and I didn't know where to go because I was waiting to see a doctor. I was really unwell. And then obviously it feeds into your mental health. And I was really like worried. I didn't know what I could do anymore. I didn't know whether I could do the same things. And all friends, family and work were really supportive. But when you go through something like that, you don't want to concern them. You kind of want to find people going through the same thing because there's a real power in that kind of connection. So that's when we're looking online and I thought, surely I could find people in this connected world, but I couldn't. It's like lack of safety, you don't know who you're talking to, there's a massive disconnect, everything online's fake, it's very anxiety inducing. So that's when like I thought, what if there's like a dating app, but not dating, but friendship for specific reasons, like life-changing events that's super private, peer-to-peer and safe. And that's when I went looking and they didn't exist. And that's when I started it. Like, what if you could find people going through, say, a chronic health issue or a health issue, or someone who's like life's changed suddenly and you just want to kind of find someone else, lived experience, past, present, whatever. And then I did research into it with universities and found that people struggle to make friends generally. And like loneliness is a massive issue in society. And this was 2 years ago. And so we did loads of research. We built a prototype of people matching for specific reasons to find friends, but then realised it won't work because we need people in the app, we're dealing with vulnerable people, so we need to make sure we protect people. So then we kind of pivoted last year, and now the app we're launching is all about, and also loneliness is complex. It's not just like you can have a person, here we are, like it's overwhelming as well. Like we want to reduce the overwhelm and make sure people have the control and do it in their own place because you can meet people, but if you're not connected to yourself, you can't go that deeper level. And that's also what our focus was, is going that deeper level and not just surface level, meaningless conversations, because we all are too transactional this day and age. Like we need that deeper, meaningful connection where we actually help each other. So that's when it changed. And then the app we're launching is about connection to yourself, like helping you build tools to get you outside your comfort zone in a non-overwhelming way, and also to change the way we are in society, like help each other. So each day you check in with yourself, how are you feeling, why are you feeling like that, and like go and set yourself basic tasks, like go for a walk, speak to a stranger, random act of kindness, like something that helps you but also helps someone else. And then with that, to try and change the narrative to be like it's okay to be vulnerable and to reach out, because when you do that, people are automatically more vulnerable and more likely to go that kind of deeper connection, especially when we're talking about something stigmatized like loneliness, which is kind of a normal emotion we all experience. And this is what we're trying to embody at Beluga is, if we're hungry, we eat, we're tired, we sleep. But when you feel lonely or sad, you just kind of suck it up, deal with it. And obviously society is changing. However, now, I think that awareness factor is really powerful. And so we give people the simple tools to take control, not be kind of led somewhere. They have the autonomy to use kind of the app as they please, build their social skills, do things, get outside their comfort zone, and with that to kind of thrive personally and professionally. And then we also ask what friends people want for the next stage, so then we can bring that in. So whether that's chronic health, bereavement, aging parents, paddle, whatever it may be. And we also ask people for feedback, like would they like an anonymity feature with an avatar, so we remove all bias. Because the thing is, where there's loneliness, there's bias. So if you look at someone, you automatically have a bias. And so we remove all that so people can connect on lived experiences. And if they want to go that step further, they can. So that's just what kind of we've done in our research as well and what we've created. So 1 in 2 adults are lonely. And like mental health in society, in UK society, costs £300 billion annually in lost kind of earnings, in NHS costs, in people paying for solutions, because people want some connection, people want this purpose, but we kind of don't have it available in society. And £110 billion is of lost business earnings, where people are absent at work, presenteeism, where they're just not performing because people feel isolated, people working from home, people don't have kind of healthier boundaries because their workplace is all blurred. So it's a huge cost to society, and it's only getting worse. And it's also like a huge issue with health as well. Like it's linked to having 68% more chance of getting early onset Alzheimer's if you're socially disconnected. So there's a real power in kind of social connection and kind of tackling loneliness with kind of all of kind of health issues, specifically kind of neurological as well. But also it's been linked to heart disease, obesity, and like mental health concerns as well. So so it's a huge kind of issue, and it's the kind of hidden, the loneliness factor, but it's actually at the core of all of these kind of things. And it's super simple, like people just want to feel seen and heard, and I feel like we're missing something so important, and I think kind of change is needed. So so it's a huge issue in society, and I think 1 in 10 have no close friends. People struggle to find someone to look after their cat. I think people have loads of loose connections with followers, things like that, but people, at the end of the day, do they have anyone to reach out to if in a crisis? And I think it is a bit, and if they do want to, like, I think there's a shame factor still as well. Like, people don't want to ask for help in society for some reason. People are willing to help others, but I think there is like a barrier. People feel embarrassed. So we just need to break that and just like help each other, because I think there's a real power in that. And I think then we can rebuild community and reconnect, because I think, there's an actual fact, actually, so it's quite cute. So beluga whales are super sociable mammals, and they find each other through sonar signals in the ocean, and they come together and they build these intimate, like, small communities that meet their needs. And it's all about 5 and 25 of them, so it's all super intimate and like friendly, and they'll help each other, they teach each other stuff. It's all very altruistic, and they cruise around the ocean together, and everyone's welcome, dolphins too. And that's exactly what Beluga's about. It's like your own personalized community that meets your needs, your authentic needs, to help you thrive. And each person's community needs different to each person, and that's absolutely fine. But it's just, we want people to feel like they can be themselves and not have to be kind of this 1% of person like online. Like, that doesn't exist. Perfection doesn't exist. And it's just like, how can we give you the tools to build your community? And I think that's what kind of Beluga's like, is just changing that narrative, helping each other and building that kind of altruistic kind of lifestyle like beluga whales. So sign up for the app, and then the idea of the app is to get off your phone. So you check in every day, ideally, check in the morning, like literally 6 clicks. Check in the morning, how are you feeling? Feeling lonely today? Why is that? Oh, I've not spoken to someone today. And then, like, what can I do to solve this? So then you can set yourself tasks, like go for a walk, meditate, speak to a stranger, random act of kindness, check those off, then get off your phone, go do the things, be present, look up, speak to people, and then come back at the end of the day, feel great, tick them off, and then you can journal if you want. And then if there's a reason you want a friend, like for a specific reason, something's happened, you want to speak to someone, you can then, reach out to someone. And there is also Beluga Pal, our kind of AI friend. But the idea of the app is, we're just encouraging you. We're giving you that nudge that we all need to kind of go do the things. But we do obviously want to support you as well. So there is someone like this AI kind of friend to kind of support you and encourage you if you do need to speak to someone. And there is also signposting on the app as well. So if you do ever get into a crisis, there's signposting to other kind of charities. And you can also add in your own charities if you want. So it's super personal to you, and it's even personal to the extent that you can change the colour scheme as well. So if you don't like the blue, you can go to green. So it's all about you, and I think that's a beauty. Like, we give you the autonomy, and I think that's the idea of our thing as well. Is like, health is more complex than just have one pill fix you. That's not how life works. Obviously, it does. You need all this treatment, things like that. But then what really is the game changer is social connection, and it's been proven in studies how you can really thrive in certain situations, prevent symptoms. And it just takes you that level further. And even see a therapist, which is super important, they give you the tools to go away and do it. We just give you the toolkit to then take it on that step further and do it, and you can add in as you want. So yeah, and there is like that feature I mentioned earlier that I found useful, linked to kind of seeing waves. But people can kind of see that on the app. I think it's I'm super passionate about the topic of loneliness, and I think it's just such an issue, but it's not spoken about. So I wanted to talk about something quite stigmatizing, but I want it to be an approachable conversation that people don't feel shame, don't feel afraid to talk about, because it is a normal emotion. Like, we all experience at some point. So I wanted people to feel safe and secure to talk about an experience that they may have experienced it, and also like how they tackled it to help someone else. And I was blown away by how many people responded to this. And everyone who would see the sign of saying, let's tackle loneliness, everyone would be like, thank you for doing this, like, thank you. And everyone resonated, which I was blown away by, because I thought people would shy away from it, but people weren't. People were equally as passionate, because people are craving that kind of connection, that community, and, change. So, I just thought I wanted to do something, and we worked with an amazing video company in Cornwall, because, I was there previously. And we got some funding for it as well, to do kind of a video series where we asked the public about loneliness, and just to break the stigma, really, to normalise conversations, to try help someone as well, and just to say that, there is always a way, like, reach out, like, speak to someone, and also just reach out to that person that you've not maybe wanted to reach out to, that's the wrong word. Let's say that again. Reach out to that person that you've been meaning to reach out to. But I think the problem is, in society, we're all quite anxious and avoidant when it comes to these things. And, our phones are not the best, and I'm the same. I want to reach out to someone, but I get avoidant sometimes, because it's not because I don't want to speak to them. It's just because it makes me feel anxious. I get overwhelmed with all these messages. And I think it's the same for people, but the power of a message or a call just goes a long way. I mean, there's nothing better than in person. But I think it's just that message, to know that someone's thinking of you, could just really kind of lift someone's day if it's in, maybe they're having a really difficult place. And I think sometimes you maybe haven't replied to someone, and I think, you don't mean it in any negative way. It's just the case of life is busy, and like I said, people get overwhelmed. And I think it's just, people just sometimes need that nudge, and just that, to be like, hey, I'm here, like, I'm sorry I've not spoken to you or replied to your message, but I do care about you and I'm thinking of you. What's your update? And I think I think we all need to maybe think about how we can connect to each other, but not that goes beneath the surface, and not just like, how are you? Like, something like a question that can just like break down the barriers and be like, go into their kind of lives a bit more, that's that deeper level. So so I think I just wanted to break the stigma, and just spread a bit of kindness, I think, because I think we're not really doing it enough. And I think it was just that power of just having these signs, just showing, like, reach out to a loved one, like, the power of good it just felt on that day. It's just amazing. And and I just think more people should do it. More people should speak to a stranger, because there's a real kind of benefit to yourself and others that's just, you can't beat. The best things in life are priceless, and that was priceless, and I think I would recommend it to anyone. So So we would have some series of questions, and the first one would be, we're asking people today about if they've ever experienced loneliness, and at some point in their lives, and if they don't mind sharing with us. And most people would share, and I was blown away by how many people they would share. Then we'd deal with what they would do in situations when they did feel lonely, and they'd say things like, reach out, and also then advice to someone who is feeling like that, and they would say, look up. Like, a lot of people said, look up, pay attention to what's around you, like, be more present, call people, things like that, which was really nice. And also a lot of people spoke about how you can be lonely even with people around you. And it was a real kind of topic of conversation, and it just shows that, people do feel disconnected. And I think it's more than just going to a group setting and making friends, because that can be tough for people. It's just kind of like, how can we feel connected to ourselves as well, and then, with others. And there is a real power in the stranger as well, like speaking to a stranger, speaking to them, it's like really powerful, and it can help you build, those things up. And then we would ask people to reach, is there anyone in their life that needs that would need a message for them today. And we would get them to either call them or send them a voice note. And and we did have a few people actually like answer the phone, which is really cool. But some people just voice noted, and it was really nice. And it was, some people from Germany, from all over Europe, and there was some people from America. So so it was really nice. It just showed that like had a global effect, even though it was just super simple what we were doing. And I think that just shows the power of good that achieved basically. So and then we basically would ask for advice if anyone else, and kind of a question or a point of something to the next person, and then we would kind of relay that. But it just shows how loneliness comes in different forms. It's very complex, and I think there's awareness factor instead of, because I think you can look retrospectively, and I think it's just like, how can we deal with it practically? And it is okay to feel like that. Don't ignore it, but it's just like, how can I feel better? So that was it. I think it's because we take each other as like face value, and I think we just listen to each other. We can be more vulnerable because we don't know them, we're not going to see them again. And I think it's again the shame factor, like people get worried about like, if they've said something wrong or something they've like overshared maybe. And I think as well, when you've got a stranger, there's a real power in like going that kind of deeper understanding, and you can really, it's not just surface level, oh hi, how are you, how are the kids, how are your friends, how this, things like that. It goes to the deeper level, and I think that's what it's really powerful. And also people feel like they feel more safe in these situations. But it is interesting, like, why is that, Why don't we do that with, our best friends sometimes, And is it because you don't want to concern them? Is this, that? But then also with a stranger, you wouldn't tell them, what is, if you're really suffering, but you may just share a story or something that just really resonates and just, it's just more kind of connected. It's interesting though, isn't it? I think there is a real power in it. I think it's that impartiality, isn't it? I think it's that they don't know you like from kind of in the normal world, so it's kind of, you could be kind of almost anyone, I think. And I think people feel just really free in those moments. And I think when you see a therapist, they obviously ask you questions and lead you down a road, but you are kind of think about things in a different perspective. I think that's it. You just don't have the same kind of narrative, I guess, and you're put into like a different narrative that's kind of free from kind of bias and stigma. And I think it's quite freeing. So I think people then can really thrive, and but I don't know why we don't do that in our normal day-to-day life, because surely then we'd all be a lot happier. But I think it's just I think there's a lot. I think shame is a massive factor, and people don't want to say something. Like, I think it's also what people may say. So say I'm like a really successful person, like a man who's like really successful and like got a family, like earns loads of money, and then says to their friend, oh, I'm really struggling at the moment, because they can still feel isolated, they can still feel lonely or disconnected and really struggle. But then someone may say, but you're doing so well, you've got this, you've got that. And it's like, yes, that's amazing, but sometimes people can really struggle. And I think it's just that, we should not make assumptions. We should treat everyone the same and take people as they say, as valid and authentic, and like really support people and learn how to deal with these situations, because then they could go back into their shell and not talk about it, because they feed into that thing of like, why me? Why is this happening to me? And I think like, what's wrong with me? Like, why am I alone in this? And then it makes it 10 times worse. So I think we just need to be better at supporting each other and just remove these assumptions. And that's why we've got this kind of avatar anonymity, because again, it's kind of like with strangers, it's kind of like, you remove that bias, you're taken as face value, irrespective of what you look like. I think it's a real power in that. And I think we should do that more often. Like last year, I had like an infection, and then afterwards I had this pain in my upper right side, and I kept going back to the doctors, back and forth, and then I was like in so much pain, it was really affecting my life. And again, I was like, how am I getting ill again? What's going on? Still trying to move forward, but I was in so much pain. And I was told, oh, it's fine, you're young, you're healthy, nothing's wrong. And then it turned out I had like issues with my gallbladder and had to have surgery last year. But the fact it took me 8 months to be taken seriously by one doctor took me seriously. It's just that kind of assumption factor that was just like, we should treat everyone the same and take them at face value, not the fact that they don't look the certain type of person that fits into that category. We're all human at the end of the day. We all want the same things. We just want to be seen and heard, and this kind of belonging notion, and not have this kind of bias. So, and then it does affect your mental health as well, because you're like, oh, what, like, why am I making this up? Like, what's going on? Like, why am I, yeah, and it does feed into that negative psyche, and it's just like, it's hard to break out of, because you're like, oh, I've been told by a professional I'm fine, and it does make you feel like, so it does make you feel worse. So yeah, there is that kind of, like you said, like, I think we need to listen to our bodies, and that's, that's the same with mental health, the question you asked me earlier, like, we need to listen to our brains as well, like, our brains are very intelligent, things, why is it that we don't kind of listen to it more? If we're feeling a bit off one day, or if we're feeling, this, why do we push through? We should just listen to it and be like, okay, like, if you were running and you hurt your leg, you'd rest, and, it's the same, but also it's difficult with mental health as well, because I get sometimes you do feel tired, you can have kind of chronic fatigue, but it's like how, what's real tiredness and what's kind of like not real tiredness, that's like what I'm exhausted, but also like I need to still try and do something, so like go for a walk instead of just not doing it at all. And I think even if you just do something really small, I think that's what you always need to aim for, is something, because otherwise you can negatively spiral. And I think it's just trying to do something, even if it's the smallest minimal thing, to then really help you, because then the next day will be better, it'll be easier. Instead of not doing that, feeling tired, you'll feel more tired. So it's just kind of like listening, but it's difficult, isn't it? We've got to listen to your bodies though, but also, yeah, it is challenging, but yeah. Honestly, I don't know how I'm here, and it is a challenge, because like life is hard, and like building the app has been so challenging, like rejection after rejection, but I just keep following a path and I just can't stop. Like, there is green lights, it is working, and I think because we're so different and against the grain. But I think I look back at my old job in corporate life, and I never was happy. Like, I was the first few years, and it was interesting, but I always kind of, it wasn't me. I didn't feel like I kind of belonged there, or I didn't feel like it was right. So this kind of passage just seems like what I want to do, and whether it's, it leads me somewhere else. But I do feel really passionate about it, and I think that passion really drives me, and it makes me feel kind of fulfilled, and like I have purpose into what I'm meant to do. And I just don't know why. I feel like what happened is just, led me here. And I think my old self would be like, what on earth? I've created an app. Like, what on earth is going on? Like, how am I, like, why am I doing that? Like, and I have existential crisis all the time. Like, why am I doing this? It's so hard. Like, why am I doing this? But then I have some glimmer of hope, and I'm like, and the next day's better, something happens, get the same rejections and the same like crap with life, but some glimmer of hope. It's like, this is the reason for me doing it, and I get passionate again, and I keep going. And I think it's just one of those things. It's like every day will be a challenge, but it's just like there'll be a glimmer of hope. And I think that's what I look for now. Like, that's new me, is I look at the beauty in the everyday. I don't chase like the weekend. I don't chase like big holidays, because then you have a crash. And I try to look for sustainable kind of happiness. And I guess it's things like doing something each day, like go for a walk, speak to someone, like try a recipe, like do a class, like do something, but, in a way that makes me happy, and not also like people pleasing. And that's always been my issue. I think it's just, but also in a way that's not selfish. I love helping others and being there for people as well. But I think it's just that right balance. And I think as well, I think there's a real power in that. It's like not chasing things and doing what society tells you, things like that. So yeah, and also I think as well, like everything, like everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about. And I love that quote, because I think this is why we should treat everyone with kindness, because you just don't know. On the outside, they may look like they're doing so well and everything, but you just never know. So, and they may be doing amazing, which is great, but just always treat people with kindness. And I think that's the thing. Like, I've always done that, but I just think I was the same. I would have these assumptions that, oh, that person never would, or that person would never. And I think we just need to break that. Like, everyone's entitled. Everyone's got mental health. Everyone will challenges at some point, even if you're doing successfully. Like, people get overwhelmed, and it could feed into that. And I think it's just people need, to remove those assumptions, remove that bias, and just treat everyone the same, basically. And that's, But old self would be like, what on earth is going on? What's Georgie doing now? But yeah, so. Yeah, actually, well, I'm trying to use it every day. I think it's difficult because, again, like, my phone is challenging, but I was just saying before, when you left the room, like, I think it's amazing it's like habit building, right? It's like once you build it into your life, it's so easy, and that's what I'm doing. And every day, like, I'm working and I'm like, oh, I can't leave my desk, I'm so stressed, I've got meetings, I've got this, I've got that. But the app sets me accountable. It, like, like almost releases the pressure where you're like, how I'm feeling, super simple but really effective, and like go for a walk, like reach out to someone, check in on someone, like like just do something that, you know, is outside and not getting all wrapped up, because we all have like 5-10 minutes in a day. It's just making the time and making that habit. So so I use it each day. I do like set myself some tasks, I go do that, and then and then I, you know, and I feel great. So you feel accomplished when you've done something like that, and it's super simple, but and also like, I do use it. And I'm interested to see how people will use it as well and get their feedback as well, and see also what people want, because there's more to it that's going to be coming, and there's big plans. But it's just, you know, doing in a staged approach to reduce the overwhelm, help people feel supported. And we don't want people to feel anxious or anything. We want people to feel like it's a safe space and they can use it as they want, basically.